Alrighty. Howdy neighbors and welcome back to First Snow. Last time we got to know Eileen's sister a little bit better. And now we are on an unexpected hiking trail. And also, I am enjoying that jacket on Eileen. Anyway, let's continue. As we keep plodding ahead. On the plus side, the air is nice and fresh up here. The odd, huge bird squawking as it flies above us. Its calls echoing around the mountain. Makes for a nice atmosphere. When we're alone like this, my family feels like the elephant in the room. There's so much I want to talk to her about, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say since she told me not to pry. Wanting to fill the air with something, I end up settling for the mildest of small talk. So you experienced at this, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, been for a few hikes around here. Went outside a lot as a kid. Ended up adventuring more and more until I started hiking. With your father?
No.
No, alone. Just to have some time for myself. Without a doubt, Eileen has to be the most solitary person I've ever met. Maybe this explains her abrasiveness towards her parents. But it feels a little unfair for her to take it out on them. No, I feel like it's justified. Coming out here has been a real help to my art, too. But we're running out of breath. I have to stop and take a moment to collect myself. My actual pace is slower than Eileen's, making this hike all the more taxing. How is all this related to art? The more life experiences you have, the more inspiration you have. Hard to create anything of worth while stuck in the four walls of my room. I read as I am in the four walls. I feel like I just got outed. You need input to be able to create output. That's how culture works. Thinking on her words as I turn to start moving once more, Eileen's voice calls out.
Allison.
Watch out, there's a stone there. Look at my feet, quickly stepping around the dangerous trip hazard. If it weren't so big, I'd move it out of the way for future people coming up here. I took this route a lot as a kid. Probably the easiest way to make it through this area, but you still have to keep an eye out. I'm breathing heavy. I come to the grim realization that Eileen must have been far more fit if she was young than I am now.
Sorry,
I'm a total city girl, I guess. You're plenty smart. But you can't just pick up everything from books and internet, you know. I don't really know how to perceive that half compliment, half criticism. Is this where Eileen picked up her independence? Hiking in the woods alone? It's not like it's bad out here. The air and the sound and everything are nice. I just can't imagine doing this alone. Not just because I'm barely being pulled along as it is. Do you think maybe we could rest soon? Or from the frown on her face, Eileen is clearly disappointed at my request. It barely started. There's a resting place I want to reach, but we can't stop every few minutes if we want to get back by sundown. Just how far does she plan to take us? The sound of the river getting louder and louder as we walk, before the two of us finally reach a clearing after a couple of hours or so of hiking. Despite barely being able to walk, I've kept myself from complaining anymore, not wanting Eileen to be disappointed in me again. With the two of us slowing to a stop as she looks around, it seems we'll be making a pit stop here. Same as it always was. Looks like nobody's messed with it. I'm about to ask what's so significant about this place before she bends down and sweeps the snow off a few large rocks. showing them to be purposefully set in a small circle. Oh no! It's a Fey trap, get out! Here, have a seat. It's a Fey trap! Sitting herself down on a particularly large rock, I quickly follow her lead and sit next to her. It looks like most of the rocks here are carefully set in the ground to make some campsite, positioned next to a gently flowing river. My legs are happy I get to sit down. Looks like you've come here before. I ended up building this place up into a little base camp over the years. Bears kept taking out anything I brought in or set up, but they at least leave the rocks and ditches alone. Lynn makes herself comfortable as she pulls out a tin and thermos to pour herself some water. I look at my hands and huff into them to warm them up a little. With the two of us settling down to recover for a while, I listen to the sounds around us. It's so different at my own home, with the sounds of cars and crowds replaced by the river's slow trickling and various birds and other wildlife. Somehow it isn't surprising this is the kind of place Eileen would like. As she sits out here thinking to herself, she looks like part of the scenery, just as she did in her quiet art room, at least until Caprice and I made it decidedly less quiet. And there's me, my oversized clothes and labored breaths. And me! It's peaceful. Yeah. I thought my apartment was quiet, but it's nothing like this.
Huh?
The place wasn't quiet at all when I was there. Constant cars, construction, and people walking by. I'm not like you. I've only ever lived in the big city. I was worried about being so far from home, but I think I like it here. Playing with Eve has been fun too. Your family has been really nice to me as well. Ellie's face sours, made me immediately regret adding that last little addendum. More to the point, that lecturing tone. I want to understand her, but she only gives me small pieces to work with, not enough to puzzle things together. I knew I said an intrusion into her home would be at least a little bit awkward. I've begun to realize Eileen's resistance to bringing me here was about more than that.
Eileen.
Just... I started speaking before even gathering my thoughts. This isn't a good start. Just what is it that makes you want to be away from them so much? To go to a different state? I mean, is it just about your choice of career, or... Can we not bring all that up? I came here exactly to get away from my parents being on my case. And there was silence. I explained to her rush in the morning to organize our hiking trip out here, especially if she was stuck with her parents while they gave her car a spin around town. So what am I even here for? Something up? I thought you brought me out here because you wanted to share it with me. I was really excited to see the kinds of things you did growing up. Her face tells me she hadn't even considered that reasoning. I feel a little stupid for attaching so much feelings to this now. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be a good look if I left you back at the house while I wasted time out here. So this was just stress relief for her. Even now, she's not looking at me. Probably more busy thinking things over with regards to her family. I open my mouth to try to ask her about it, but I can't work out what to say. I'm just here because she feels obligated to invite me. You kind of did it to yourself. I guess I should have realized she doesn't want me here. She didn't want me here at her home at all. She said no. I'm the invader. I'm in her space. So why did she treat me like a burden this entire walk? If I was gonna get in her way, should have said so. In the end, the only reason I even know anything about her disagreement with her parents is because Eve told me. Eileen didn't want me to know. For now, I'll just be a contented spectator, looking into her life without getting too involved.
Huh?
quickly look over at her, but rather than acting contrite, she's pointing at my left side with a gaze focused. An insect seems to be lazily crawling over the top of my left hand. A thing about a fingernail in length and jet black. I don't recognize it, but it looks harmless enough. To be honest, I could care less about the little beetle right now. You're not worried? Should I be? Well, I mean, most people don't like bugs crawling on them much. I just shrug, leaning down to press the side of my hand to the cold ground, while gently persuading the bug to get off my other hand. After a bit of effort, the little fellow gets off my glove and onto the soil, scampering off a little bit faster for the experience. It won't hurt me. What, just another of your animal friends? Not exactly in the mood for being teased. It's the kind of thing you can learn in books or on the internet. Eileen laughs it off. I'm sure she could tell I'm being snippy. With that, she stands up, putting her thermos and cup back in her backpack before dusting herself off. Ready to keep going then? Still got the afternoon ahead of us.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Try to put as much enthusiasm into it as I can muster, but I get the distinct feeling that I'm just alone for the ride now. And so she pushes forward without looking back at me. It's always where I am with her. Whether I'm watching Eileen paint or watching her hike, I'm always far behind her, with eyes on her back. Let's say at the OK Motel. I love that. I also love that we have stuff over here too. With a wave to her father as his car disappears down the road, Eve takes my hand and hers as we start off down the street. With the weather particularly nice today, and Eve needed to burn off some energy, we decided to take a grand tour of the local town. Her pace is thankfully slower than her sister's, with my sore legs needing a rest after the excursion yesterday. We didn't even get to see the big view, the great rest area. Fucking boo! I wanted to do this with Eileen, but she couldn't be dissuaded from painting in her room. There wasn't much fight in me to argue with her, so that was that. Maybe some time away from her is for the best. Even people who like each other sometimes need a break, I think. The old wooden storefronts hardly loom over us, being mostly just a couple of stories tall, themselves dwarfed by the forested hills behind. Strolling around is a much nicer way to take it in than clutching to Rose on the back of her bike. It's nice here. Kinda boring sometimes though. Thinking about it, I can see that being the case for a child. A few people out and about today are basically all graying older folks hobbling along as I look around us. Such a pleasant atmosphere has its downsides. My thinking interrupted by a ping from my pocket. As we stop for a moment, I pluck my phone from my pocket and unlock it. I love the cat. Every time we look at it, it makes me so happy. Who is this? Oh, it's Eve. Who is it? Messages are, "Hi Allison, how are things going?" This is my dad asking how I'm doing. She stands on her tiptoes, trying to look over the phone in curiosity. I get an idea. Crouching a little and bringing the phone level with her as she sets herself back down, I try to hold it steady. I'll send him a photo. Stay still. Response, Eve fixes her posture to stand up prim and proper, dressing herself off to look as good as possible. It's charming how seriously she takes this. With a tap to click, the photo is saved and quickly sent to Dad as a message. Friend's sister is showing me around. Sounds like you're having fun. Yep. How are things there? Back home safe and sound. Your brothers are driving us nuts. We're glad to have you back. Sounds like things are the same as ever then. See you in a few days. Miss you. Take care. Enjoy the last of your trip. I smile and unlock the phone once more, so I get it back where it belongs. I have to stop myself from counting down the days left here. I don't want to start regretting this trip, and once again wishing I was home. Hey, what's your family like? Totally different, I'll say that much. I have a mom, a dad, 3 brothers, and a cat. We live in the city, and it's really busy and noisy every day. They're nice, though. It'll be good to be back home. Satisfied with my answer, Eve pulls me forward as we begin our tour in earnest. She points out this and that, though. My thoughts aren't about Eve or my family, but stuck on wanting to be doing this with Eileen. Just as it was whenever I watched her paint, I feel like I'm watching her life from outside, rather than sharing time together. I don't doubt that she likes me. She certainly likes me in a physical sense. I like those times too, but I feel like I'm the only one who wants us to be closer, and more than just the physical sense. I'm the one who planned our first date. I'm the one who asked to come here, and I'm wondering if Eileen even wanted any of this. The one time I thought Eileen wanted to share something with me, she was just using me to distract herself from her problems. Problems that she wouldn't talk to me about. All I could do was sigh. What's wrong? It's a shame your sister was busy, that's all.
Allison!
Is Eileen having a good time in college?
Huh?
Why do you ask? Honestly, she was worried about Eileen since she moved out. But when Eileen's around, they always argue.
Oh.
Is she really alright? Eve says this with genuine worry in her voice. Eileen's parents really do care about her, even if she doesn't think so sometimes. Eileen's fine. Every day she's making pretty paintings and having fun with friends. And she's helped me a lot since I met her. Eileen's always been fine, now that I think about it. Since we met, I merely watched how she lived her life. Since getting together, has anything really changed? For all our intimacy, she still treats me the same way she always has. All while relentlessly pursuing her ambition. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Aren't you supposed to be treating people the same way? Oh no, maybe I'm wrong. No, I can't think like that. I'm getting myself wound up. Your parents are nice, aren't they? She gives an enthusiastic nod. Again, you're just on the outside. You don't know. They think you're nice too, since you hang out with me. They say I think I'm useful, I suppose. Never realized it before. But having a little sister is really fun. Not that I mind my own siblings, but 3 older brothers aren't quite the same company. Let's see more of town before we have to go back then, okay?
Gotcha!
Yeah. Oh, Jesus, why are you why are you, like, in my grill? Finally back from our trip after the bus ride back, you've bounced through the door as I jack myself in and close it behind us. I don't know how kids have so much energy. Eileen stands with a glass of water, looking nonplussed at our entrance, or noticing the new book held tightly under Eve's arm as she skips over to the living room sofa.
Allison.
You didn't. I can spare that much money. It could be a Christmas present from me. You enjoy having a little sister, aren't you? She got me. How's the painting going? I need to go down to the city soon for supplies and stuff. No art supply stores around here. Wanna come? I'm along for the ride as usual. I feel bad for thinking bad thoughts about her, but can't muster any real want to come along. Used to be baggage while she did her thing.
Sorry.
So tired from yesterday.
Sure.
Suit yourself. I'll be straight back afterward. Having pizza for dinner tonight, by the way. Oh, good. Two of us briefly wonder how to continue the conversation, but I can't think of anything to add. Yeah, because you kind of shut it down. With that, she wanders back to her room to keep painting. I feel like I should follow. Nice to see her painting coming along. My feet feel stuck. Left to mill about alone as Eve could be heard happily humming to herself from the sofa. I decided to turn around and head back out the door for some air. The warm afternoon air is starting to fade by now. Tells me to push my hands into my pockets to try to save whatever warmth I can. At the rate the weather's going, it's sure going to be a cold Christmas. At least the snowmen are liking it, still standing tall as they guard Eileen's house from the front yard. It's easy to lose sight of when inside, but her house sure is big. Even the yard is pretty spacious, but I suppose living so far from town would help that. Nice house. Enough money to live alone on her parents' dime. Trips all the way to Germany. Eileen really did have a good start to life compared to me. It annoys me a little that she doesn't seem to see that, especially when it's her parents paying for her apartment. You don't know! You do not know. Being alone in a room, hiking alone in the woods, living alone in an apartment too big for one person. Is that really independence? Moving out away from your parents but still relying on them for everything? You kinda suck. Like, I know it's supposed to be like, I don't understand, there's such a divide. But you don't know. You don't. So we shouldn't be judging. Try as I might to get closer to Eileen, I can't help but feel like I'm just hanging around her. I'm looking at her back. Is it just because she's always ahead of me? Why shouldn't she turn around and look at me? I wonder what I really am to Eileen. The fact that I can't work out an answer makes me restless. A lump starts to form in my throat. I quickly decide to wander back inside. All I'm doing is making myself feel worse by dwelling on all this. I should make the most of my time here, given I only have a few days left. A little late, my bad. The park makes for a peaceful sight as we enter. The three of us slipping between the low wooden barriers as we step from the rough concrete car park onto the snow-covered grass. The bundled up Eve clings tightly to Eileen, and I with both of her little hands, each of us on either side of her. A bag of old bread swings away at Eileen's other side, destined for the local wildlife. Don't do that. I feel like a killjoy to say bread isn't good for them. Thank you. It's not. It makes them sick. Don't feed wildlife bread. Please, oh please, don't do it. I understand the appeal, but don't do it. The animals don't deserve that. Don't do it. With the two of us acting as babysitters thanks to Eileen's parents working, we decided it'd be better to head outside and let her vegetate on the couch watching cartoons all day. Tired from the walk, I take a seat on the swings facing the lake as Eileen mothers around Eve. Tugging at the girl's scarf to pull it tight, Eileen hands over the bag of bread for the ducks before ruffling her hair affectionately. I wonder if that's why Eileen does it to me now that I think about it. With her sister having finished her fussing, Eve turns and starts for the shore, while Eileen watches her intently. Be careful around the water, Eve.
Okay.
Next, peacefully float about the still lake. Oh my god! Remember when I said I can't read? Well, it's happening again. Because it was the ducks peacefully floating on the lake comes bearing food. Why can't I read in a line? Oh no. The ducks peacefully floating along the still lake start flapping about excitedly, quickly realizing that the girl waddling toward them comes bearing food. Satisfied that Eve isn't going to topple over in her rush and flop in, Eileen wanders back toward me and seats herself on the other swing, all the while keeping a keen eye out. It looks like nobody else is here at all. It is getting rather cold, so it's more likely people being busy with the holiday sales. I'd think the lake to be frozen over, given how still it is, save for the birds floating about.
She's cute.
Yeah.
While Eileen smiles warmly at her sister, I struggle to do the same. I'll soon have to make the Col de Rose to pick me up. After all, even behind this lovely town, Eileen, Eve, their parents, I'm not sure when I'll get to see them again. Eve clumsily crumbs the bread in her gloved hand, chucking it out into the lake with varying degrees of success. Half the crumbs end up dropping on the ground at her feet, but she doesn't seem to notice.
Is something up? You've been kind of quiet over the last couple of days. I really don't get how you're such an upbeat person in general, though.
Nor do I get how she's so comfortable being so alone, so apart. The more I'm around her, the more different I feel we are.
I just think it's better to see the best in people.
I have to admit, I wish I could be like that.
Why not try being more friendly in general? Every time I see you, you're closing yourself off to focus on painting or trekking out in the wilderness.
The more I get tied up with people, the harder it is to do what I want to do. You should know that better than most, with Caprice and all.
You shouldn't talk so badly about her all the time. She just wants everyone around her to enjoy themselves.
Uh-oh. We're having a fight. We're blown up. I'm a little taken aback by how firm my tone is. I was starting to get tired of how she's always so critical. I forced myself to keep my eyes on Eileen, despite her own surprise. Maybe it's for the best if I clear the air and talk about this directly. Our concentration is broken by Eve giggling loudly in the distance. Mine is being broken by someone playing music very loud. I hope it doesn't pick up. Where am I? Our concentration is broken by Eve giggling loudly in the distance. The birds enthusiastically crowding around in front of her and occasionally flapping away at the water.
Come on, what's this about? I get the feeling something's on your mind.
No!
It feels like we're hanging around each other, but not actually.
Pause for a moment to phrase my thoughts correctly, and trying not to let emotions cloud my thinking. Eileen, thankfully, patiently waits for me.
I guess it feels like I'm along for the ride. It doesn't feel like I'm really there with you.
What, here? We've been spending a lot of time together, and we've had some nice time to ourselves, right?
Is that all this is to you?
As silence reigns, the fact that she even needs to think about this is a bit upsetting. I don't know how relationships are supposed to go, but it feels like we both have very different ideas about it.
What am I supposed to say? Is there something more you want from me? I'm just not as clingy as you are.
Clingy? I just want to be by your side. You would have gone off without me the other day if you felt like you could.
Yeah, but I was being considerate of your feelings. Is that a problem?
It just feels feels like you'd rather I wasn't there.
I like being with you, you know that. But I've been fine on my own all this time too. I don't need you to be there.
Even though I always want to spend more time with her, she doesn't even care whether or not I'm there. Super not what she said.
You have it so together. I've always admired that about you. Maybe you have it too together. Before coming here, I didn't realize how good a life you left behind when you moved away. To drop everything here, including Eve, to pursue art at a community college? From the way you talked about your family, I thought they must be really hard on you. They just want what's best. I mean, the apartment you have seems like it wouldn't be cheap for them to cover, for one.
This makes me mad.
Because I don't hear that enough from them every time I'm around here. Can we just drop this? I like being around you because you don't bring up that stuff.
Is that all you want from me? A quiet girlfriend who doesn't ask questions and leaves you alone?
Aline takes to her feet, her mood significantly souring. While I freeze up, I don't feel like shrinking from her for once.
Am I only here to distract you from your parents?
You're the one who begged to come. I told you that you could come precisely because I didn't think you'd go sticking your nose into my life.
But I want to learn more about you. That's what having a relationship is.
That's up to me, not you. This is why you shouldn't have come in the first place.
She points in the general direction of her house.
I'm used to enduring their crap already. I didn't need you here to make things worse. I'm already hearing from them about how my girlfriend has a better life path than I do.
So that's my fault. Oh my god. I get it. But at the same time, it is kind of her fault. I think I'm shaking. My eyes are stinging from salt waiting to flood out.
Maybe they have a point. Did you think any of this through beyond just escaping them? Is that all our relationship is, too?
I had my life on track before I even met you. Just because you and Caprice want to come along and try to push me around, it doesn't mean I'm going to derail myself.
Is that what she thinks of it? Did she agree to the art club? Did she agree to date me? Did she say she loves me? In the sounds of footsteps in the snow, the two of us turn in unison toward Eve, sitting a few yards away with the empty bread bag in her hands.
Is something wrong?
Eileen looks to me for a long while, her face full of frustration. I don't think either of us really knows what we should say next, even without Eve being around. Settling herself with a long breath, Eileen smiles as she turns back to Eve. I don't think I'll ever get used to how she shifts her entire demeanor like that.
Everything's fine. Don't worry. It's about time we headed back home.
But I want to keep feeding the ducks!
That's going to be hard without any more bread. Come on, it's about time we had some food ourselves.
She gives one final glance back, before taking Eve's hand in her own and walking on ahead. That I was someone important to Eileen. But I feel like I'm just being used to make herself feel better while she lives for her work. I know I have my faults. I'm not good enough at art to share the hobby with her, and I was barely even able to help cook a simple dinner. I'm trying to get better though, and that's thanks in part to her. The image I had of her is starting to become difficult to see. Who was the Eileen I admired? The beautiful girl in the beautiful apartment with the beautiful paintings? This Eileen is someone so at odds with her family she decides to only care about herself. As I watch her leave hand in hand with Eve, she looks ever further away from me. Kinda 'cause she is. Maybe she's only so far away because we aren't walking on the same path. Jingle of the old bell above the grocery store rings out as we step through into the street. A slight chill in the air, but that hasn't stopped a good few elderly people from hobbling along the town streets. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. So, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully, I will see you later.